Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm going to get back to this issue, and let's get some clarification because we've heard quite some extraordinary comments from the other side. Mr. Berthold, could you tell me where in the bill is the text that disqualifies people from Medicaid?
The chairman's mark had no provision related to Medicaid. It was really just tax provisions, sir.
There is no provision that disqualifies people from Medicaid?
Not in the mark as modified.
Doesn't disqualify anybody from Medicaid? How about Medicare?
No changes in terms of Medicare.
Nobody's disqualified from Medicare whatsoever?
That's correct.
Okay. How about the text in the bill that denies people protection for pre-existing condition? Where is that text?
The chairman's mark is a tax mark. It doesn't change requirements on insurance industry.
Doesn't change
providers.
that one bit, does it? Completely silent on that. How about how much does the bill text specify that reimbursements to healthcare providers have to go down? Where is that text?
Again, it's the chairman's marks about the Internal Revenue Code. There's nothing related to providers.
The point that I'm obviously trying to make here is that there are no cuts to Medicaid. There are no cuts to Medicare. Nobody is disqualified from insurance. So what does happen? Well, we have a mandate where some of our friends thought it was a good idea that the government should be able to force people to buy a product whether they want it or not, which strikes me as an outrageous and unconstitutional infringement on personal freedom. But nevertheless, that's the law. People are forced to buy a product whether they want it or not. And then, by the way, the government gets to dictate the terms of that product, irrespective of whether people think that it's a good idea. And then there's a category of people, many, who can't afford that product because this market is so badly designed. And then what we do is we say, if you're in that category of people who can't afford this product that doesn't suit your family well, then we're going to punish you with this tax. What we do in this bill, and this is all we do in this bill, is we zero out the punishment that we currently, under current law, we inflict on people who decide they can't afford to comply with this mandate. That's what we do. That's it. And it turns out that in Pennsylvania, 83% of the people who are currently absorbing this punishment, forced to pay this tax, their family income is less than $50,000. You want to talk about a middle-class tax cut? It's the people who can't afford these unaffordable plans who will no longer be punished with this tax. That's all we do. There are no cuts to Medicaid. There's no changes to the program. There's no reimbursement differences. There's no disqualifications for people to participate. None of that. We're simply saying if you can't afford these ill-designed plans, with respect to your family anyway, you're not going to have to pay this penalty. Let me move on to the issue broadly of middle-class tax relief. Mr. Bartold, my understanding is we don't yet have the new distribution tables, but we have distribution tables from the previous iteration, correct?
That's correct, sir.
So when I look at the previous iteration, I see a reduction in federal taxes paid in every single income cohort.
On average, that's correct, sir.
In total, that's correct also, right?
That's correct, sir.
And I also see that in every single income cohort, the average tax rate goes down. Is that correct?
That's correct also, sir.
Now, there have been some changes. Is it your impression that the result of those changes will be to further reduce some of the average tax rates and to further reduce some of the tax obligations for low and middle income cohorts?
In years before the sunset, sir, because remember
Correct.
the sunset
Correct.
turns off, so you'd return basically to present law in the very last year. But as noted when Senator Thune asked earlier, the expansion of the child tax credit increased the value and also actually made a further modification that no taxpayer with a taxable income in excess of $500,000 could claim the child tax credit. So that means all that increase in value accrues to taxpayers with dependent children
Right.
less than 500,000, and the tax rate bracket effects have effect for everyone in the new 22% bracket and above.
Right. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm running out of time. I would just observe this product lowers taxes on the overwhelming vast majority of middle income and working class families and individuals. The earlier iteration did, and the final iteration does so even more. And I think that should be clearly stated for the record.
I'm glad you pointed that out.